Well, as a young girl, I was very very expressive. Yeah, I'd make a lot of noise through singing and really dancing. I'd be in a lot of dance competitions. Tukienda lunch ya Sunday na family, tumeenda roasters. I'd have to participate in a dance competition nipate soda. So I'd say I was already very in tune with music, and music was within me. I am a creative. I am a singer. I love to express myself artistically, and I am a woman. So many people know me by the name Aurie. My government name is Sitawambia. Itakuwa mystery, but watu wasinimulike kwa comments. If you know my government name, then hey. But it's Sheila, and I was born and raised in Nairobi, South Sea area. Woohoo! Do I put it this way? The sea will be seen this way. A creative is someone who really just, I think I'd say, manifests their world, really your imagination, and just putting it into play and action. And a lot of the times we are closed off from our imagination. So I'd like to say I'm imaginative, and that's what contributes to me being a creative. A singer is a musician. A musician can be a singer, but musicians mostly would be instrumentalists, composers, do I say? Sometimes a singer, you could just be a singer actually, whereby you're given the material to execute. Yeah, maybe based on they like the tone of your voice, then you suit a project. Yeah, so a musician then is someone who's contributed to the creation of that work. Yes, maybe through the instrumental wise, through melody, or writing it, producing the song. That's hard to differentiate the two. But a singer can be a musician, and a musician can be a singer. Well, as a young girl, I was very very expressive. Yeah, I'd make a lot of noise through singing and really dancing. I'd be in a lot of dance competitions. Tukienda lunch ya Sunday na family, tumeenda roasters. I'd have to participate in a dance competition nipate soda. So I'd say I was already very in tune with music, and music was within me. And I really appreciate that my parents were musical as well. Yani, okay, si wasanii per se, but they really love to listen to music a lot. Tukiwa kwa gari, there was always, the radio is on, if we're in the house, and there are some records tunacheza za kina Franco, especially. Yeah, my parents loved a lot of Lingala. So I was exposed to that at a very early age, and I'd dance and just sing along to it. So at this point, yes, I am in primary school. I was at Loreto, Convent Valley Road, LCVR Babe, from class 1 to class 8, so throughout my primary school. And I'd sing here and there, you know, write a few songs. I think I wrote my first song. I don't even remember what it was, but it was sometime in class 6. And in my exercise book, I was just scribbling some nonsense. So, but yeah, and then in primary school, I was in the choir. I used to sing a lot, and I also played the tambourine and sometimes the kayamba during mass. So, and then on I went to high school, nikaingia Machakos Girls, Mark G. It was such a stark difference and a surprise because these are two completely different environments I was experiencing. You know, LCVR is a private school, you know, Catholic school. There's a certain way things are done, and you know, even expressing yourself, how you speak. So then I went to Mark G. This is now a public school, boarding all the way in Machakos. Me, I've never studied outside of Nairobi, and you know me, I was also used to day school. So here I was in boarding, standing out like a thumb, yet part of the hand. So yeah, I think I also fascinated people at school because wakinisalimia sasa, mi najibu hai. I didn't know sasa, fit, sema, poa. I knew some sheng, but it wasn't my everyday language. I mostly participated on the church side. Well, what would happen is we'd have singing classes. So we'd sing as a class. Mrs. Lobo was our music teacher in primary, and she also taught piano. So that's where I'd get a chance to do most of the singing. And then I had my friend Wangare, a classmate who also used to sing. So we'd just meet up together on some afternoons and sing together. Yes, drama club sasa nilijoin nikiwa high school. So here we are in Mark G. In Form 1, like I'd sing here and there, but to myself. And then, you know, my bedmate knew that I could sing. So one day, there was a girl called Hadassah. She's a musician as well. And they were having auditions in the dining hall. And I didn't know. They wanted, she was forming a group called Onyx. And so my bedmate told me, you need to go to the dining hall and like sing. Endo imbele song ulikuwa umeimba. So I was late, I was the last one. But nikamwimbia too. And I got into the group. So we're called Onyx. Fire group. We were 5 of us. There was me, Hadassah, Ivy, Mariana. Najua kuna mtu sisemi lakini I have you in spirit. So we'd present in church on Sundays during the service, and yeah, we'd meet on Saturdays in the evening just to practice and go through if we are presenting or just together to sing and harmonize and just express ourselves in the music room. And then so that was me. I was in the group. And then eventually one day I was cleaning the dining hall, and the drama teacher had me like yell a command to someone, Mr. Cheva, God rest his soul. So he akanichocha, kaniambia you should join the drama club, you know, I like your voice, it's quite powerful, you can project, you know, you're expressive, the rest will figure it out as we go along. I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. It's something I've always known. It's always been within me. I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be a singer. And so it helped that I was exposed to a lot of music because I have my brother who was older than me. And at the time we were also with our cousin. My mom's sister had passed on and she had a son. So he came, he was living with us, and he's now older than the rest of us. So through that, with that age gap, I was exposed to a lot of soul music. There was hip hop, and then of course now my parents with Lingala and local music. And yeah, I could say I have a lot of influences from that. Ukitaka soma lebo. Soma lebo. Na kwanza hiyo ndo time sasa ogopa DJs were like really hitting, and they were the in thing. And you know, we have Isa, who was from South Sea, K-Rapt not so far from Nairobi West, so it was, you know, really bubbling in the industry. Internationally, I'd say a lot of soul musicians and R&B stars. I listen to a lot of Mariah Carey, a lot of Aaliyah, a lot of Lauryn Hill, you know, 90s girl groups, Water, Missy Elliott, you know, Dr. Dre, Snoop. Wow, there are so many artists that honestly the list is endless. I think because of drawing inspiration from a lot of sounds. I think for me, first music is sound before it becomes the categories it's in, genre and all. Yeah. Well, it's related. When I got to campus, I joined UN, Parklands campus. Comrade power! Comrades Ria! Yeah, I studied law. Yeah, for 4 years, though I didn't go to Kenya School of Law. But I would definitely say that what I studied has contributed. There's so much you can do with law, because every aspect of our lives has law in it, yeah, to govern how things go. Just something on paper to really streamline and make things clear. That's the purpose of law. So enter 4th year and unit near Intellectual Property Rights by Professor Ben Sihanya, and you know, it was a really dope class. Of course, nilipita because I was so interested, you know, because the creative industry is governed by IP law. And it was a really eye-opening class for me, and only really solidified that, yes, this is what I want to do when I'm done with campus. Yeah, to pursue a career professionally in art. Funny enough, I was called to KU to do theater and arts, but you know, my dad was like, what? Umeto kufanya nini? How can they call you for this? And I'm like, you know, he doesn't really, he came to know that I'm a creative when I joined Spellcast, and I'd go for practice over the weekends, and he's wondering, where is this you go? And I'm like, well, I'm going for rehearsal, there's a musical coming up, or we have a presentation, we're going to sing at Strathmore. You know, Spellcast was, I think you know Spellcast. Yeah, arts and entertainment company, really harnessing youth talent and creative skills and passing on that knowledge, so that when you join the industry or whatever you decide to pursue, you have that knowledge as you go forward. So at that point is when he knew, okay, she sings or she does something, she acts. Okay, yeah, but he only came for one show ever. Now I was doing the arts full time. I was recording. I used to record at Bright Spark Studios in South B. So what happened? Bright Spark, this came during campus, when I was still in campus, around my 3rd year, and I had someone recommended me niende nifanye radio ad, just an audition for like a radio ad. You go record a demo, then if the client likes that demo and you're picked, then you go and record afresh, and now the radio ad goes out. The jingle, it's called a jingle. So I went, I recorded a jingle for, they're called, I won't mention them, but they're in real estate, and so that's the jingle I did. yeah, ikaenda tu ikasubmitiwa. So the owner of the studio itself really liked what he had, and we had a sit down, and he was like, I'd like to have you as an artist recording music. Would you like to record music? And I'm like, it would be an honor to do that. Yes, to now have, because now I'd be going into studio and recording a machine, and I'm like, oh my God, I've always seen this, so it's gonna be my turn to go in and just do stuff, express myself. So I didn't know much, and that's why I really started to learn how things work, going for sessions, recording music, the process of, you know, creating a full track. Yeah. Not yet. I wouldn't say yet, because income from music it's very tricky, and it's very wide, and you'll really find that a good amount of maybe your income will come from endorsements, or especially placement in films if you do music for film. So I'd say I'm heading there. With the knowledge, with what I know now, you know, having beginning again, but now from experience, not from scratch, knowing what I know now, at least you can monetize your creative works. It's definitely possible, and you can earn from it, but it's a lot of hard work, tears, sacrifice, just like any other thing. You choose the problem that you're going to go with, and you bear with that problem. Unachagua tu shida yako itakuwa gani. Yeah, kuna mtu mwenye ako corporate amechagua with all that paperwork, they'll go through it and get to the top, you know, in whatever you choose to do. Mtu wa mata tapambana na polisi na kushinda na kumlipa paka akwe na matatu tatu. Matatu tatu. 3 matatus. I have definitely had support along the way from my friends. My friends have been very, at every point in my life where I have friends, even from primary to high school, especially high school, you know, my classmates really pushed me, and they pushed me, unaimba, fanya kitu ya kuenda ufanye kitu ya kuimba. You go, you must sing, go and write, go express yourself, go be an artist and be all you can. And it's mostly my friends, honestly, who have really pushed me up until this point, and really sharing my music and appreciating it, giving me feedback. Honorable mentions will begin at KHWEVA. A lot of creatives who are with at KHWEVA, who are at KHWEVA, were at Spellcast. So we've also met again. Our paths have crossed. And so, you know, we have Simwa, we've got Calvin now. Francis, so many amazing. Thumbs is a producer. KHWEVA is like a hub of talent. There are so many creatives in one space who are expressing themselves, and I'd also say it's an arts and edutainment company. Yeah, because there's also the educational aspect of helping creatives refine their skill, providing the resources to be able to just work on your craft. So you'll find everyone at KHWEVA. You'll find guys who do sound, producers, photographers, graphic designers, illustrators, DJs, musicians such as myself, actors. Yeah, KHWEVA have done a number of musicals actually, and shows, you know, that are to write home about. I'd say I'd put all of them in one, but the best experience is always performing before an audience. And they are so receptive, and you know, they've never heard this song, but at some point they are singing along, and it's like it gets me so excited. But you know, you have to bring yourself back and concentrate. You know, bado na perform, you have to execute, pull yourself together and do it. But it's such an exciting feeling. Nothing can really compare to that. Some best experiences doing the musicals with Spellcast. We did Sarafina and Mekatilili, and it was just, at this point now I was also acting, dancing, mostly acting, singing as well, and those were just memorable moments. I had a performance at Kileleshwa. There's a certain house, I forget it, but there's a space in Kileleshwa, and I had a performance there, and it was getting really late, and I was the last one to perform. Yeah, so it was really so fun. The audience were really receptive. What they were dancing to the music, and we had the band. Tuko tu tumekuja kufanya show. That one, and performing at the Elephant. There was a show at the Elephant I did. It was called Patriotic. And now for this show, I had even the dancers, and we had the whole band, and tumejaza to stage, and it was really, guys had a wonderful time. Those were really memorable experiences for me. And actually at the show for the Elephant, I was approached by an A&R, the artist and repertoire, from Universal here in Kenya. But that fizzled out, so it didn't go in the direction it could have or should have, and maybe, you know, in hindsight, for the better, because I'm here now. So now we come to the worst. The worst was, this was now my first time performing by myself. This is after now Spellcast. You know, at this point when at Spellcast, I was used to being in a group. We are always at least 3 people on a stage doing something together, so you feed off that energy. But now at this point in time, I was singing alone, so I have to generate that presence myself and really occupy the space. And at this point, I had written a couple of songs, and you know, the music director asked me, would you like to sing a song you've written? And I'm like, well, no, it's not ready, but really it was, but I just didn't want to, so I did a cover instead. I don't know if I mentioned the cover. Will people go looking? Mustafuta. I did Andra Day's song, I Rise Up, at a really, it was a popular event that was Engage. I really did not like that, how I sang that song. I think there was maybe a lot of barriers within me, and being very shy, and now here I am alone on stage for the first time. So anyway, wacha nifanye tu. There's no one in the wings, how you're used to in a musical, you'll be alone, but in the wings there's someone who'll probably come running out and acting some part of something, so you're still with someone. Yeah, that was it's etched in my mind as my worst experience ever.
You can find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Ooh, mountains, we're gonna walk it out. And again.
audience was very receptive. They live up to the name engaged. They're very engaging, and they are so engaged in what you're saying or how you're expressing yourself. So I just say I didn't give my best. I didn't. So it was a really tough lesson for me, because I always want to do my best and be the best, and very self-critical. You just recover yourself. That's the thing. It matters that you power through the mistake. That's what I really also learned when doing musicals and performing on stage and acting. You just power through the mistake. Wow, have I had any such an iconic moment? I think it's in the wings. It's coming. But every moment is a moment that has changed me and how I do the music or approach it, or that reminds me why I chose to do this, meeting some very inspiring and learned creatives, like from Bright Spark, working very closely with the first producer, Karim, who really taught me so much, still does. We work together a lot. Being here at KHWEVA and just meeting the multi-talented producers and composers, creators, it's always, I'd say it that way. That would be Africa Dusk Women's Edition with KHWEVA, and it was just all female performers, and we did it at James Gishuru. James Gishuru, 910. It was such a wonderful setup. Guys came through, and KHWEVA treated me so well as an artist. They paid me in time. I was like, wow, this is so impressive. I didn't expect it. So at least that really opened up my mind and showed me that there are actually stakeholders in the industry who really care, who are about also the economic empowerment of the artist, not just the creative or social, but also economic empowerment. It really motivates you. It really pushes you forward and makes you believe even more in your dream. It feeds you too and pays your bills. Actually, a major source of income was performing in live spaces, curating shows. Maybe you apply to perform at a show and you get in. Being swindled. Pakamuna sign contract. Let me tell you, you will have this agreement on paper, and then it's just yes, there are those brands I'd love to work with, but so far I've collaborated with McCoffee and CTM. I've done their jingles for their products. As a, that kashot ad unasikia kwa radio, mtu akiimba wakinarrate something, that is me. Those are the jingles, the short ones. So kuna mahali umenisikia nikiimba kwa radio. See, jingle bells are Christmas, but a jingle is like a short, probably even 30-second ad. So it depends on how it goes. It could just be someone speaking, advertising a product. The voiceovers. Exactly. So those have been my major collaborators. For me, I'd say it's both. I sing. I sing well. I'd like to believe I sing well. No one has ever told me I'm irritating them with my voice. But I also work very hard on my singing. In as much as I am able to sing and I have the talent, I work on it as well. So, I'm always working on my voice, vocal exercises, taking care of the voice, and so, and also mentorship. I think you've mentioned mentorship as well, having that skill passed down. I've mostly learned that through just the producers I've worked with, collaborating, the creatives I've met along the way, pass down knowledge or skills. If I didn't know something and I meet them, well, now I know it. So, and I really value that collaboration. Collaborating has helped me a lot, yeah, in learning that. It can. You just have to understand how it can pay. Although we need some more formal structures in place, especially as a country, in how it works. Like maybe revise some laws. The systems we currently implement or regarding music and IP law are originally, Western. How do I say, IP law generated from America. There's a really interesting history about it, and that came to be practiced worldwide, that you could actually protect creative works of the mind, inventions, yes, and businesses trademarking your logos because it's unique to you, yeah. So I think it's just knowledge on those opportunities that pay, and two, having formal structures in place where we actually see artists being remunerated. You're actually paid for what you do. You can have leave days just like they do in corporate. You have a union that's really pushing for your rights and you being paid. So just formalizing it, because as it is at the moment, a lot of people cutting deals with each other, and fine, let's cut deals or not, but let there be a more structured way of doing things, and artists actually seeing money's worth for their work. Yeah. So it's just knowledge on the opportunities where you can monetize your music. You can monetize through touring was one of them, and performing in live spaces, though that has changed a bit because of the pandemic we are currently in. We are all in our spaces and we can't really interact as much as we'd want to. We are social distancing. Another way is through having your music placed in films, commercials, maybe gaming in games. You can make your music money off that, licensing your music. Yeah. My reasoning is that the problem is systemic, like down to the fabric of our being as Kenyans, in how we view arts and creatives and the artistic scene. Right down from being a child, we really discourage the creative child who already knows what they want to be. Oftentimes children actually already know what they want to be, but we project the image of how we imagine them to be and now force them to be what they are not. And at some point they'll rebel, because you need to find yourself, you're on a journey, you're on your path, and everyone else is just a support system to that. So I think, as MDQ said, it's really our identity. I think as Kenyans, we'd rather identify. It's easier to identify with other cultures, other movements, how others, the images that people project of themselves. We want that, but we don't have how we identify with ourselves. It doesn't have to be the same, but there's that which is you, which is a Kenyan, taking pride in this is how I move, If you're tunaonangata ma odi dancers, someone be like, oh, mtu anawezaje dance hivyo, but that's actually, it's interesting movement. I don't see why it can't be something so spectacular, and having our own like how you'd have an iconic artist coming from Kenya. We do have that, but we could have more of that. And I'll take it back to, Nigeria was in the same boat as us, I think, because they were really consuming content from outside and less of theirs. And the more you do that, it influences your culture, your movement, and so people don't really identify as Nigerian. They identify as other cultures or other people. So they revised their laws, if I'm not wrong, and I think they decided now to flip it. So 80% of the content will be local, and then now we'll still have the 20 coming internationally. And that's how eventually they now blew up. Nigeria was always known, you know, you had Femi Kuti, you had the really popular Nigerian musicians back in the day. But now, I mean, it's an industry you'd want to be in. It's called Nollywood now. You know, there are people always flying out, unataka unangangana kuingia Hollywood. Some are flying out, they want to be in the Nigerian industry. And it's become so holistic, like with fashion, with content creators, artists, singers, painters, all of it, all in one. So they just decided that it's going to be us going out into the world instead of the world. The world could come to you, yes, but the world first needs to know who we are. Yeah, how, you know, how we relate, how we identify. This is Kenyan, you know. You really won't, you cannot miss a Nigerian. I think it's also taking pride in that, in our identity. Because now you see, with revising, with people starting to identify with that, you take pride in it, you make noise about it. You see, you can't make noise with what you don't enjoy or identify with, or you see or you relate with it. But now that the Nigerians themselves relate with that content that is being created, then make noise about themselves, so much so that others will have to pay attention now. You see, so you begin to love it and really make noise about it. But if you don't like it or love it, you won't do much. You'll keep on taking on what you're given. Law is a very important aspect in everyday life. Hakuna kitu haina sheria. Everything has a law, down to what is in the sea, maritime law. You have law governing consumerism, how we consume goods and services, competition law. There's law in everything. So I'd definitely pick an aspect of what Nigeria did and just balance it out and say, now the content we'll consume mostly will be from here. Then if you keep doing that and people keep identifying with it and making noise about it and come to understand it, then they also buy into it, they invest in it. And in investing in it, then also the creative gets their returns and you grow in your craft and your skill, you know, because it takes a lot of mental effort. You invest your time, your money, and you see in revising those laws, sorry, I've just had like a thought that has just zoomed. If we revise our laws and really push for local content, we create space for local creatives, space in the industry, space to have their work, to showcase their work. And you know, how else will they grow and improve if they're not getting a chance to a space to showcase it, and yes, get that criticism and still have also the money come back to you to now improve. Right now you'll hear for every, at least, this is totally made up from my head, but from how I feel it is that for every 6 international songs there's 1 local one playing. I don't see why it can't be for every 6 local songs playing, it's 1 international one playing. Yeah, because you'll just travel outside, not so far. Just go to Tanzania or just South Africa, and best believe in South Africa, for every 6 South African songs you'll hear, 1 is international. But they mostly identify with themselves. consume themselves, for in a layman's term, that they are able to regurgitate it. Yeah. There's PRISC, which is for performers' rights. This is especially for performers, those who perform the works. You're singing the song, you're on stage, you're acting, you're using your body. Then we have CAMP. This is the Kenya Association for Music Producers. So a lot of producers are now under CAMP, are covered by CAMP. And then you have Actors Guild. Actors Guild is responsible or in charge of now actors. So depending on your craft or your skill, you could join either. Yeah. Then you have MCSK, which now are the Copyright Society of Kenya, Music Copyright Society of Kenya, who are now under the Kenya Copyright Board. Yeah.
Umbrella.
Yeah, hiyo sasa ndio umbrella. But then you have the different associations. So if you're a producer, CAMP is for you. If you're a performer, it's wise to be in PRISC. If you're I'm definitely not self-made. Honestly, it takes a village. The way you see me here now, or you'll hear my song out there, it's probably just my name on it, but like a glacier, you only see the little top, which is probably me, but underneath it all, you have a whole village behind me, pushing me, making sure. Let's just take the track, for example. Sure, I've written it, I may have composed a part of it, but then you have the producer and then the engineer who's going to engineer the song, putting in the work to make that product really the best it can be. So I'm not alone. I'd say Bien from Sauti Sol is very
One-on-one ama DM?
One-on-one. We met at an event, and I think at this point probably the spirit spoke to him and he's like, you need to talk to Aurie. And we just met, and he's so vibrant and he's always trying to teach you something. Yeni ni mwalimu tu na anaongeanga mob, which is a good thing. So yeah, he was really just talking to, we just had a one-on-one, a kawaida conversation too. You know, being an artist in Kenya generally, and what they were doing with Soul Generation at the time. So he really took the time to just pass down that knowledge. Yeah. I feel like we could have more of that apprenticeship and really passing down. I don't blame maybe the more established artists, because it's the environment you find. You know, you eventually become the environment you're in, and it takes a lot to still be yourself and want to achieve what you want to, or the goals and values you came in with. And they may change, but there's also what you have at heart and how you want to change things. But the environment around you also has to be enabling. Yeah, so maybe they didn't have that, or those who did are not as many, and so we need more of it, so there's more noise about it. Yeah. In any path you choose, a struggle is part of it, but I'd be lying if I said, you know, it's just that struggle. There's always someone holding you, or, you know, trying to teach you or pass down something, you know, trying to show you something. So that mentorship could be part of it. But the bigger fix would definitely be within the system itself. How do we first view art on an educational level, on a social level, on a political level, on a philosophical level? How do we view art and creativity? If we begin to change that from that level, it's so fundamental that from a young age, whatever a creative says they want to be, they get the environment that is there and encouraging. Because there's what you're interested in, and then there's like, okay, there's the mechanical part you need to develop, those skills. So have that. Institutions that promote that pass down that teach you the business of art, you know. Yeah. It's a plus to be young. It's really, it's amazing to be young, because being young comes with vibrancy and a lot of ideas, and your passion, and you want to express yourself. I think the biggest challenge is the gap between those who are older and where I am now. We don't have that conversation. There's no flow. I think we are very critical of each other, you know, because you have, oh, you're young, I'm looking down on you, and so you'll always see me as this young person coming to you like this, and you're like, yeah, I'm older. Maybe late 30s to 40s, would I say? Because 35 is still youth. Yeah, probably within my age bracket, but still not far off. But I'd say that there's a disconnect in how we converse or pass down knowledge, but where you're able to connect, it's really beautiful, you know, because the older person definitely has more experiences, more of what they've gone through. They are light years ahead of you, you know, the same way you're light years ahead of someone behind you. And so just that guidance. You can get guidance from many places, but I mean, nothing really beats having that one-on-one with someone, which is now apprenticeship, having that skill passed down. You'll read all the books and consume all the knowledge, and now applying it. It's also nice to get that knowledge from, you know, someone who's guiding you. And just seeing you as, before your age, you're a human being. Yes, with your perspective and thoughts, and you want to know something. And the youth always know what they are saying. I think also I don't know if we take pride in our youth. We are very dismissive of our young people. And I think we could really listen to them more when they say something. They know what they are saying. Even if you feel like it's wrong to you, well, I guess you're right and I'm right. It's just different aspects, you know. Because of course what you're telling me, chenye unasema ni ukweli. I got this from MDQ also. What you're saying is true because you're working on basing that off of maybe facts and data. But what I'm saying is also true because it could be something new, something interesting. We could bend the rules and who knows. Yeah. I am a vessel. I am a vessel, and the way I express or deliver whatever message I have or what I have to say is through singing. I'd say it's a talent. I'm thankful that I have the talent of singing, that I'm just able to sing. But there's also the hard work that goes along with it, you know. You can't just be like, yeah, niko na talent, okay, and then so unadu nini ingine, yeah, like what are you doing about this talent then, you know? You need to work towards it. It's still a skill you have to continuously develop. Because we're always learning. Yeah, student of life. My parting shot would be to be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. And I think it's okay to feel that fear. It's okay to feel whatever you feel at whatever point in time. But just always remember to come back to yourself, because really it's in how you treat yourself that you will treat others. Niseme hivyo. How you view yourself and treat yourself is exactly what you will pass on to others and manifest it. So be kind to yourself, love yourself, question yourself, criticize yourself, but not too hard. Apologize to yourself, forgive yourself, and in that way I think when interacting or loving others, those who you love, your friends, your family, you'll be able to treat them. If you treat yourself well, you can only treat others well. Someone who's treating others well, ukimwangalia hata yeye anajipenda, you know. They take care of themselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So yes, be the best version of you that you can be. Yeah.